Okay, the Orville is back with a good episode called Sanctuary. It was directed by Jonathan Frakes, and we'll talk about it in just a second. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and Jonathan Frakes is back, and you always know there's going to be good people stories when Jonathan Frakes directs, and a good bit of action too. We're seeing more and more of the Mocklins and kind of wondering whether they are friend or foe of the Union. We see a underground railroad kind of thing, and this is an interesting parable to how slavery was dealt with before the Civil War, where there were secret networks that allowed slaves to move from involuntary servitude to freedom. And in some places they were hunted and brought back to their owners, and in some places they were able to stay free. It was part of the lead-ups to the Civil War. But enough about history for this moment. A good parable of that in the way that female Mocklins were actually more prevalent than we've been led to believe before, and that a secret railroad, as it were transporting these females to this planet that was in the center of a nebula, or actually bordered by a nebula, so it's kind of hidden from the local star systems. First, we have the Kalons, who are we thought were our friends, who've become our enemies, and we almost think maybe the Mocklins are the next. And as the Mocklins are a big weapon supplier to the Union, there are political considerations in giving the women planet, shall we call it, recognized status within the Union and therefore protection by the Union. And once again, we see the conflict between the traditional Mocklins and those that are more free-thinking in the conflict between Bortus and Clyden. I'm thinking more and more that as more and more conflict comes between Bortus and Clyden, that their marriage might be on the rocks before long. We'll see what happens with that. Marina Sirtis makes a nice small role there as a school teacher. It's nice to see her back on screen doing any kind of part, so that was nice. For once, I think we can find, I mean, somebody may be able to find a Voyager episode or something that's very similar to this, but from my point of view at this point, I believe that this is a fairly original play by the on the part of the writers of the Orville this week, and it is drawing upon our own history of the Underground Railroad. And in this case, what they're doing is they're smuggling female children or female babies out of Moklas before they can be forcibly converted to all male. And we see the return of the character who was in the trial where they tried to prevent Topah from being converted from female to male. It was well handled, and kind of funny that they should find 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton to be kind of their rallying cry and a bit of poetry. Well, they play it for laughs, but I have to say that I've been an admirer of Dolly Parton for a long time. Her singing ability, her tendency to find herself in duets that are uncredited on albums of a number of people, and just her overall sunny disposition is always something that brings a smile to your face anytime that she performs. And I found that she was very respected among other musicians, even of other genres. A music festival in England, I believe that most of the musicians, when they were on breaks from their own set, instead of relaxing, would go and see Dolly Parton perform. So it says something about her talent and about the respect that she has from other musicians. So I was almost expecting to see her somewhere in the episode, just playing a bit part. That would have been kind of fun. At any rate, the one thing that bothered me about this one was when they are on the planet, when the Moclan troops go down to try to abduct the women down there, and they get into a shooting battle, and it's Bortus and Kelly against a dozen or so Moclan soldiers, and they're always hitting their targets, and the soldiers are shooting like Star Wars stormtroopers. It seemed rather unlikely that they wouldn't have been able to pick the two of them out. They were shooting all over the place, missing everything, hitting occasional of the women on the planet, and so you could see them hitting something. But I found that that was rather unbelievable, even in the context of the tradition of the bad guys never being able to shoot straight. That kind of took me out of the story for a little bit. Otherwise, I liked all of the acting in this, all of the characterization in this, the real debate with real difficulties in coming up with what the right answer is in the Union Council. It had some realism there as to how people have to deliberate and weigh the pros and cons of decisions. There's nothing that's a no-brainer here. There are consequences no matter what kind of resolution that they come up with. And the one that they came up with was a reasonable one for the time, and it was a very satisfying episode. So I'd like to know what you think about it. Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and we will be talking tomorrow about Star Trek Discovery. It's next to the last episode there. Next week is going to be the week we don't want to miss. So stay tuned to them and check us out as well. Until then, don't go far.